Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Securi, Manager of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at Cast and Crew, and we are back with another enlightening conversation in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. We sat down with journalist, television host, and actor Alfredo Lomelí, and executive producer and showrunner of Gordita Chronicles on HBO Max, Bridget Munoz Leibowitz. Check it out. Well, thank you so much. Today, we're excited to have Alfredo Lomelí, also known as Freddie. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. It's my honor.
So you're a TV host, journalist, and actor with a career spanning over 10 years. So Freddie, can you share the story of, where you're from and how you got started in the business?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to make it quick because it's quite a long story, as we all have. I'm from a small town in Mexico called Teocaltiche, Jalisco. At the age of 6, my parents made the difficult decision to move to the U.S. to pursue a better life for us, as is the typical immigrant story here in this great country. And so we came and we basically overstayed our visa in order to be able to really belong in this country. And I have no shame in saying it because I feel sometimes our parents do what they have to do in order to make it happen. So from a very early age, I was able to get a lot of the benefits that I wasn't getting in Mexico, such as, free food at the schools in San Antonio, Texas, where I grew up. And from there, it was rough because we were illegal for about 10 years before I got my green card. But once I did get my green card in high school, I was always into sports, but at the same time into fine arts. And getting my green card my sophomore year in high school coincided with getting some opportunities to do some commercials because, let's be real, I wasn't great at sports, even though I love them, but I was really good at the theater stuff and the singing and more on the fine art side of it. So I started getting cast in commercials when I was in high school, and that opened up my eyes. I had done plays and stuff, and it opened up my eyes to the world of acting, which I love. So I went into radio, television, and film, and I went to study it at San Antonio Community College. Some of these community colleges get a bad rap, but they really have more than all of the necessary tools to really hit the ground running once you study what you want to study. So I did that, and I was fortunate enough that in between all of this, I had done a singing reality show based in Puerto Rico called Objetivo Fama. Eileen Bejarano works with you guys. She can tell you a little bit about that because that's how I met her while I was on the singing show. And that opened up another world, which was reality TV, which I'm horrible for because I'm not dramatic. I'm not controversial. I just wanted to sing. So it didn't go so hot for me there. But when I got out of this reality show, the local Univision, which is one of the two largest Spanish language networks in the U.S., they gave me a call and they said, "Hey, we saw you on the show. Sorry you didn't win, but we're looking for a host for this pop culture news sort of lifestyle magazine type of TV show." And it was just an extremely, extremely lucky incident that they offered it to me. And I said, well, I've never done hosting, but I've done a lot of emceeing in high school. I've done a lot of acting. I've done a lot of singing. Let's dive into it. And I was really, really fortunate. Great team, Univision. Our first year, we won 2 Lone Star Emmys, which is the local chapter of Emmys for the state of Texas. I did that for 3 years. In between, I still kept my love of singing and acting. I did a couple of independent films. I did a couple more commercials. I did a couple of sponsorship deals. But really hosting, it's one of those things where you look for things, and then sometimes the universe will open up doors that you didn't see before. For me, that's what television hosting, writing, and producing was. Once I jumped in there, I've been very fortunate that it hasn't stopped, and not because of the awards or anything like that, but because of everything I've learned. Me, an immigrant kid from very small ranch town in Mexico City, I would have never otherwise had the chance to travel the world covering some of the best events, in sports and entertainment. So after Univision a couple of years, I did another film, which led to me being discovered by ESPN, ironically, through this film at a film festival in New York. ESPN gives me a call and they say, "Hey, we're looking for another host to bring in a little bit more pop culture into the sports scene." And so I joined ESPN. I auditioned. My love of sports, at first it was a little rough because I felt not so identified, not with the sports, but with the culture. I'm also a very proud gay man. And going into ESPN, I had to hide that at first because I didn't know if it would be accepted. I didn't know if the audience would accept it. I didn't know if they would accept it themselves. But I had the great fortune that they were more than open. And at ESPN, I covered the Super Bowl, NBA Finals, the World Series, the Special Olympics. I did so many things, the X Games. And after 6 years with ESPN, I got a brilliant opportunity to come down with Telemundo to start working on several different shows. And now I'm finding my footing down here in Miami. And so it's been an adventure. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you can make all of the plans that you want, but ultimately sometimes the universe will say, hey, baby boy, check this out. This is the door that is opening. Do you take it or not? And I made the choice that would help me help my family. Through this, I'm able to really, I don't support my family, but I help them out quite a bit. I have a life that I used to dream about when I was a kid, and I'm learning every day. So it's been an amazing ride and one that permits me to learn every day, and a very big challenge, both on the mental health aspect of it, as well as the endurance that it takes to now be working in this industry for about 12 years. That's my story up till right now.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, you kind of touched on some challenges a little bit in your what you just said now, but are there any other challenges that you faced in your career? And what advice would you give to someone that may be facing those same challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a ton of challenges, but I think the biggest challenge that I take away from everything up until this point is one of also the greatest paradoxes in life, which is being yourself is simultaneously the easiest thing in the world and the hardest thing in the world. So much of who we are, we don't even realize is shaped by what we consume or were forced to consume as children. And we carry some of that over into adulthood. So for me, the challenges were really finding my voice as a Mexican immigrant, member of the LGBTQ community, who also at the same time, I have to recognize that because I don't look Mexican, I also had some of that sort of colorist white privilege as a Mexican that, I'm not going to lie, I did get different treatment from like my brothers and sisters who actually look Mexican. And I put that in air quotes because it's so stupid when people are like, oh, you don't look Mexican. So throughout all of this, I say it because it led to me not really knowing who I was for a very long time. I had to hide my sexuality. I had to really hide a lot of the time where I was from. I had to I felt I had to do it. Maybe I didn't have to, but I felt I had to do it. I didn't really know what I stood for. And then there came a moment where I said, why am I talking like this? Why do I step on the mic and I'm like, hola amigos de Telemundo? Why am I doing this? Who is this person? And I met some really great mentors along the way that helped me discover that all growth is uncomfortable, all of it. Whether somebody is implementing this growth on you or it's coming intrinsically, it's going to be uncomfortable. So you might as well get really, really used to knowing who you are. What do you stand for? What is your voice? And as soon as I started focusing on those things and not so much the story that I told myself about who I was and who I was supposed to be, a whole new world of enlightenment opened up. To briefly summarize all that, my biggest challenge was knowing who I am, what I stand for, and how to showcase that unapologetically while maintaining, professionalism and everything that it takes to actually do this type of job.
I love that. And someone actually told me a long time ago that growth and comfort do not live on the same block. So ever since they told me that, if I'm getting too comfortable, I know I'm not growing, So
yeah.
Sharing that. So Freddie, how has your heritage and where you're from contributed to who you are and how you navigate your journey within the entertainment industry?
It is such a big part of who I am. I don't come from a family that comes from like higher education. Like I said, I'm from a very small ranch town in Jalisco, which is in the center of Mexico, where tequila is from, by the way. And I remember growing up just we didn't have a lot, but I didn't need a lot. So I really learned to appreciate the little things in life. I am fortunate and blessed that I did have a very, very big Mexican family with a lot of love, not a lot of riches, but a lot of love, a lot of good food, a lot of good times. So early on, I was like, oh, my cousin Gotti is extroverted, and I learned how to be extroverted a little bit from him. My mom cooks amazing. And to this day, when I think about the meal she used to cook for us, it just somehow shapes who I am. So I think just the appreciation of love and the appreciation of that home comfort is something I've carried with me all the way to this day, because the more you strive for greatness, the easier it is to forget that greatness comes from within and not from some type of external validation based off of how many followers you have or how many awards you have, or, you know, the clout chasers that are just looking for a selfie with Drake or whatever. Like, none of that is going to fulfill you. So for me, my heritage and that really style of just being with the family and forgetting that, like, even if you don't got $1 million in the bank, if you have somebody that you love to go home to, you're already winning. Mm-hmm. You know, you're already winning. That is something that stuck with me, that now where I'm in Miami, which is not the most humble of places, and I see a lot of people respectively, you know, a little lost in who they are. It's something that I'm like, wow, I'm grateful that mommy taught me this. And I'm grateful that my dad always just let me realize that you don't got to spend a lot of money. We can go to the dollar movies every Wednesday evening and check out a movie that came out like 7 months ago, but it was still a blast. So all of that has shaped who I am. And I try to carry it with me because I do get overwhelmed sometimes and the search for more and more and more and more. And the more gigs that are coming my way, thank God, the more I realize that it's not about me. It's about what I bring to the table. And that's my energy and my authenticity and my skill that I've developed over many, many years. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
I could talk to you all day, Freddie. I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing.
Likewise.
So when it comes to TV, film, and media in general, you know, why is it important to tell Hispanic stories, and what would you like to see more of?
It's important to tell Hispanic stories because they're stories, and because every story has a main character, supporting characters. There's a goal that they want to achieve. They have problems that are preventing them from reaching that goal. And then hopefully at the end of it, you have that story of triumph over adversity. That's what Hispanic stories are. That's what Black stories are. That's what Asian stories are. So it's important to tell Hispanic stories because it's a life story and there's a lot of values and lessons to be learned, but also because we're just historically very underrepresented, and the types of things that you see on TV a lot of times, we are so much more than just the cook and the house cleaner. And you know what? Those jobs are amazing. And my mom is, to this day, she still is a waitress at a family-owned restaurant because she likes to make her little cash. And my brother did so much landscaping in his lifetime. So these stories are important to tell. That's what my family had to do a lot. And I'm proud of that. But at the same time, we're also doctors. We're philosophers. We are everything that anybody can be. We just don't get those stories told a lot. So I'm loving the shift. I just think that there's a lot to learn. And the more we see that represented in music and on screen, and even as hosts on air, the more that we give people at home the permission to be who they are. We can be Latino to the max. We can have the nopal on our forehead, or we can look however we want to. And these are stories that I think that more and more people are starting to see the value in telling them. So that's why it's important, because we're humans and we're beautiful and we have a lot to teach and a lot to learn.
Exactly. And representation is key. Thank you so much for sharing that. And with that said, you know, what are your thoughts on the importance of providing a platform for Hispanic, Latino, Latinx stories to be told? You know, there's a lot of avenues for these platforms to be provided.
Right. So because it's one thing to have the boldness and the talent to tell them, and it's another thing to be given the space and the flat platform in which to tell them. So it is of the utmost importance for investors, producers, executive producers to do their part. It's not only about what you can sell. It's about what integrity do you have? Do you want to make a difference? Or do you want to keep regurgitating the same thing? So it's important for anybody in a position of power to put someone on that maybe 15 years they wouldn't have been able to put on. It is your responsibility to make a change. More and more, we're starting to see that these newer generations, they're not asking for permission, because now they can get on TikTok, make their reels, and get 3 million followers, organic followers, because people can identify with that type of content. So it's like a two-sided thing. For integrity purposes and for your own conscience, you should be putting people on that deserve their story to be told. And on the other one, because if you don't do it, newer generations are not going to ask you for their permission. They're going to do their own thing. And TV is going to fail if you don't start putting more of these type of stories out there. And I don't think any of us want that. You know what I mean? Like, we have to just be conscious of the world that we live in. And it is your job as an artist, as a producer, as a person in charge, to be an artist of the times, not what was 20 years ago. You got to be either of your time or ahead of your time. Even if people don't understand it, the impact that it's going to make is definitely going to be felt.
I absolutely love that. And that was great advice. In addition to that, do you have any other advice for Hispanic youth or anyone that's interested in getting into the entertainment industry, or maybe they're already in there trying to figure out how to navigate?
Be you. And I know that's so cliche. Oh, I hate saying it because it's so cliche and it's so like everybody says it. But look, I've interviewed and am friends with Oscar winners and Grammy winners and Super Bowl champions and NBA champions. And one of the things that these greats have in common is that they are the most humble and hardworking people you can imagine. Another thing they have in common is that they weren't always cool. You got to remember that these people started out somewhere, and not all of them came from good resources to get them into the best training academies or into the finest acting schools. They had to fight for it. And they were ridiculed when they started out. They were looked at as black sheep. And you'd be surprised how many people that you look on TV and you're like, oh my God, you know, like Fulanito has all the sauce. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. I bet you she has zero insecurities. Knowing them and hearing their stories, one thing that they all have in common is the story of feeling very, very alone when they were starting out. Nobody's a prophet in their own land, and you just got to get used to that. When you start on your journey of independence, especially in the entertainment industry, a lot of people think it's easy. A lot of people just want to post their sexy pictures and go. And it's like, you can't be a concert pianist from one day to the next, right? Like, how silly would it be if you walk into Carnegie Hall and you're like, yo, I want to be a pianist. Let me get to it. Or if you go into surgery, into a surgeon's office, into a hospital and say, I saw Grey's Anatomy. I want to be a surgeon. Let me go in there. You wouldn't do that, right? People would think you've absolutely lost your mind. Mm-hmm. So like, what makes you think that you can just be given a career in the entertainment industry? It's like everything else. You got to work on your craft. So if you want to get into it, find a way, get on YouTube and take acting classes from people in YouTube. If you want to be a producer, oh my God, there's so many great accounts out there that teach you how to do videography and teach you how to edit and teach you about lighting. If you want to be a singer, same thing. Like, get on TikTok, and even if you don't have the money, if you have the money, study, invest in yourself. Make sure that the product you're providing matches with what you want to be. But there's also that aspect of it, right? Like, I'm sorry, like you cannot just be an actor or a TV host or something if you don't put in the work for it. So that's the biggest thing, is to actually put in the work, but also to be really bold. You have to be bold. Whatever quirk that you might have been bullied for as a kid, chances are as an adult, that's the thing that will make you stand out in an audition room of 35 other people who all want your job. So as you're putting in the work, make sure that you are also putting in the work on yourself and your mental health. Because if I'm busy worrying about like, oh my God, today I only got 35 followers. Oh my God. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to give a good interview to this next Major League Baseball prospect that I'm supposed to have in 10 minutes? There's no way. Right. There's no way. So that's my advice, is do the work, support your peers, support your peers. And I cannot say this enough. Whatever little or much I've amassed in terms of my expertise and what I do and my success, and I'm going for a lot more, I owe it not only to myself, but to people who believed in me. So I saw a saying that summarizes it, that it's like, a lot of people don't know how to clap for other people, and that's why it'll never be their turn. You have to take joy in other people's success. Whatever they're doing, even if you're not a fan of it, I'm not saying you got to post about it, but like, analyze it. Like, yo, I don't like his voice, but damn it, he's doing it. What is it? What's going on? And there's always something that you can find to admire, because if we live in a bucket full of crabs, then we're just going to continue to pull each other down and forget about all the hard work we've been doing. So you have to really support the people that are out there and really find out, what is your point of view? You know, get out of Twitter and get out. Sometimes you look at a tweet that is retweeted 10,000 times and you're like, oh, this must be a good point of view. So I'm going to go to brunch and repeat that. And it's like, do I even mean that?
Right.
Or did I just see it and it's something that's stuck? There's a lot of internal work. And also, the last thing I'm going to say about this is, you are not too old to do what you want to do. Stop setting yourself these expectations of, oh my God, yo, like, I don't know, Angela Aguilar is 17 and she's got all this success, and I'm 36 and I'm barely doing a national TV show. And it's like, none of that. Everybody's got their own timing, and you should honor that and you should respect it, because another thing you don't want is to be given a truly great opportunity that you are not prepared for, and then you burn yourself, and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like, learn from every failure. No chance is going to be the last chance. Root for your peers, work on yourself, and really just like enjoy every moment of it. Like, every moment. This moment right here is the only thing that's important to me, because it's the only thing that's real. The show that I just did live an hour ago, that doesn't exist. The interview I have after this, that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Really get down to the nitty gritty of being in the present moment, enjoying the process, and just letting your true personality shine.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Freddie. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. And I'm so thankful for this conversation and all these jewels that you just gave us and advice. We really appreciate your time.
No, Lauren, thank you guys. Everyone that's over there watching. I know I'm very high energy and I'm definitely overly caffeinated today, but I hope that in some way something rang true to someone and that it helps them in some way.
I know it will. Thank you so much, Freddie, and have an amazing day.
Thank you, Lauren.